day everyone, this is Nicole Anyala speaking, and today we're going to analyze the poem written by Dana Gioia entitled The Angel with a Broken Wing using the soapstone method. So, what is the soapstone method? Soapstone is an acronym for a series of questions that students must first ask themselves and then answer as they begin to plan their composition. It stands for S for speaker, O for occasion, A for audience, P for purpose, S for subject, and T for tone. Now, let's start! Just a little background about the author. Dana Gioia is a poet who writes in free verse. He is known primarily for his formal work and has been included in the school of New Formalism, a late 20th and 21st century movement in American poetry that has promoted a return to metrical and rhyme verse. Now let's start analyzing the poem. So let's start with S, or the speaker of the poem. It is told in a first-person subjective point of view of an angel statue sculpted by a man named Mendoza. As for the occasion of the poem, it falls under a religious theme poem since the speaker is a statue inside the church, and according to an interview of the author, he wrote the poem in a beautiful but remote place, which had neither electricity nor phone service. This is to escape his public life, but he actually started writing the poem in an airport lounge. He had just been in Santa Fe where he attended the Spanish market with the stanteros, or the saint makers, who were selling their wooden statues of religious figures. He eventually bought one, a statue of Archangel Raphael, which probably became his inspiration of his poem. So let's move on to the letter A, which stands for audience. So the intended audience of the poem, according to the same interview of Gioia, the poem is intended for the readers who are alert, curious, and creative. It is because some of these folks no longer read poetry, so the poem was written so that it will be there if they need them. Moreover, just because it emphasizes Catholic figures, it is not only limited to to the people of that religion. As per mentioned in the 6th stanza of the poem, wherein the speaker mentioned how the godless feel about the church. Therefore, even atheists can even find meaning of this religious poem. Now, as for the purpose of the poem, it is to reveal how Catholics showed their faith through praying in religious statues. However, in the poem, the statue remains a statue, helpless and powerless. He was unable to relay the mystery of the people which broke him. The author wanted us to understand that as Catholics, statues are only there as a medium to strengthen our bond with God. They are not God themselves. As for the subject, the speaker of the poem is also the subject of the poem. The angel is talking about his own helplessness and lack of power to be closer to God in order to relay the prayers of the people about their suffering, misery, or even asking for mercy. Lastly is the tone. Now, the tone of the poem appears to be almost depressed. Misery and frustration is present in the poem, especially in the lines like, "The hopeless offered God their misery." And in the last 2 lines of the first stanza, "The staff finds me too fierce, and so they shut faith's ardor in this unconditioned tomb." So the speaker shows frustration because he is incapable to relinquish the sorrows of the people offering their prayers. He is nothing but a spectator of the emotions of different people. Now that concludes my analysis of Dana Gioia's The Angel with a Broken Wing, a religious poem in the point of view of a religious statue, and that showcases the beliefs of the Catholic people and a glimpse of the author's life, since this poem allowed him to explore a part of his background more overtly, as well as deeply Latin Catholic milieu in which he had been raised. So thank you so much for watching and for listening in my analysis of the poem The Angel with a Broken Wing.